Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dokkan battle video, and today we are going to do a team building guide for Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So the way this video works, or the way these videos work, I've been doing these and they've been doing pretty well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the best team builds you can do using these units as your leader, right? So I'm not necessarily going to talk about like other teams you can use these guys on. I'm going to talk about with these two as the leader, what are some of the best teams you can make. Now, a couple of disclaimers here is that I don't think for most teams there's one definitive best team build that handles all of the game. You're constantly going to be changing and updating your teams based on the event. You might use something very different for Super Battle Road, something very different for Red Zone, something very different for a different stage of Red Zone, right? A lot of times you're playing into typings and things like that, right? So just keep that in mind. So my goal here is to show you a couple of really good basic team setups that are going to work for most of the game, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of alternate units that you could kind of plug and play as you need to, different rotations you can try, all that kind of stuff, right? So we're going to start by looking at Goku first, and then we'll look at both of their leader skills, because the first team I'm going to show is going to kind of work for both leaders, and I'm going to do both of these together in the same video because they are so similar, but there are some differences based on their leader skill as to what you can run. So Goku is basically crossover and full power for the 170, and then Dragon Ball Heroes for the extra 30. So Dragon Ball Heroes that are on full power and or crossover will get the full 200%, right? And then Vegeta's leader skill is crossover and Giant 8 power. So there's some differences. So basically, the main difference between Goku and Vegeta is basically full power versus Giant 8 power, and I think both teams have some really cool, unique options you can run, right? So for this first team build, this is a team build that you could run with either character as your leader. So you could kind of pick whichever one you have or whichever one is your favorite. But this would just be a pretty standard like Super Saiyan 4 build using all crossover and Dragon Ball Heroes units. The one thing that you want to keep in mind with the Goku and Vegeta is they want to typically be on rotation. Like Goku wants to be with a Vegeta, Vegeta wants to be with a Goku. They both have parts of their passive that depend on having super class crossover characters. Things like that. So if you can run a full like Dragon Ball Heroes or crossover team, that's going to be good, but you don't have to do that. And the other thing is having a Goku with Vegeta and vice versa isn't 100% necessary either. So each character has like a slight support passive. So I think Goku gives 40% defense, but there has to be a Vegeta on rotation, and Vegeta gives 40% attack, but there has to be a Goku. So if you can have Goku and Vegeta together, the better, right? But if not, it's not the end of the world. So typically, the way I run a team is I run 2 main rotations and then floating supports. Now, depending on the options, you don't always have enough to run like a ton of really good floating supports because not a lot of units can handle super difficult content for support units. It just depends on what you have. But for a team build like this is just showcasing all of the great Super Saiyan 4 options. So, obviously, you run the 2 Limit Breakers as a rotation, right? And then you're going to have an extra Limit Breaker Goku. So, you could float that extra Limit Breaker Goku and just have him floating around, and then maybe you want to run a rotation, because Bardock and Gohan, they actually link really well together. But here's the thing, Bardock and Gohan link pretty well with all the Super Saiyan 4s, right? And not everyone's a fan of the Bardock, but I do think Gohan is like really good defensive unit. So like you could have Gohan on rotation with the other Goku, and they're going to link fine. And then in Bardock's slot, you could just put a different support unit if you wanted to, or you could just float the Bardock and have like a floating crit option, something like that. I think this Vegeta is still somewhat relevant because he is a support unit, and he gives support to crossover, and I think it's Giant 8 power, right? Yeah, Giant 8 power and crossover. So this team he would support really, really well because it's all Giant 8 power and crossover pretty much. And then I do think on any of these team builds, Pan is probably a premium support option. She's from last year, but she's still super busted. She's got really insane dodge chance, really good 40% support. She has the Whis mechanic where she gains defense when she dodges. So Pan is still a quite capable unit, right? So this would be an example of like a full kind of Super Saiyan 4 crossover build, right? Let's look at another one here. Now this would be more showcasing like what Goku brings to the table as a leader skill as opposed to Vegeta. The one thing I will say is watch out for this guy, and you're going to see this guy in a couple of my team builds, but this guy specifically I think is a pretty good EZA, but he had a part of his passive that he's pretty much locked out of, which is he has Scouter when you're under 59% or less health, but you have to be on rotation with another full power unit. Well, previously on Azim, Super Saiyan 4 didn't really have full power units. Well, now they do. So you can link him up with this Goku or link him up with the Vegeta. But I think linking him up with this Goku is a really good rotation, because then you have Scouter chance. The only thing is you're not going to get the extra defense support from this Goku because you're not on rotation with the Vegeta. But if you happen to be floating some other Vegeta and there was a Vegeta floating around, you would have turns where you still get that, right? And then I just wanted to throw this guy on there. Now, this guy can work on Goku or Vegeta's team because he is a Dragon Ball Heroes unit. But this guy is just a very relevant, very good defensive unit, the Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Goku. But specifically, when you're looking at this team build, this is almost like a Goku-centric team build. So we've got like this guy here who's just a busted unit, and he's on full power, right? So this guy can only be on Goku's team, not Vegeta's. So for full power, you're getting this guy who's really crazy. You're getting Master Roshi, who's a good support unit. And then this guy is obviously getting 200% because he's on crossover, Dragon Ball Heroes, all that stuff, right? But the reason why this team works is because we're running a full Goku build, and this Roshi is going to support Turtle School, which is all the Gokus, and this guy is a Goku family support. So running the Zeno versions of Goku or Vegeta are really good if you're running a more team-centric on that family. I think that could be really good. And they're still decent enough, like as stacking units. You could run them in some events, right? But this would be an example of a team build where we're utilizing a little bit of that full power and then kind of doing this Goku-centric theme, right? So just to show you some other like full power options. So this isn't an actual team build here, but what I like to do in these videos, because there's sometimes just so many options. I could show you like 500 team builds, right? The idea is to show you, because once again, you just have this formula. I want my 2 main rotations and then my floaters. So these are ideas for other rotations or units you could run on rotation or possibly float, right? So Namek Goku, still very good, very relevant unit you could run. This Kaioken Goku links up pretty decent with some of the Gokus. He's not a Super Saiyan, so he doesn't share as many links as you would want, but he could link up good enough, and he is a pretty good powerhouse unit. You could run Evolution Blue Vegetas as a rotation, right? You could run Full Power Vegeta, who I think is our Super Vegeta here, who I still think is very good, especially in like Super Battle Road. Like this guy can kill Super Battle Road, right? So once again, depending on the run, you might pull some of these units in and out depending on what you want. And I think Goku and Gohan, they're still a really good unit too, especially for longer events. Get that transformation in the Gohan. You can do some crazy stuff there, right? So these are some example of some full power units that you potentially could run, right? So now let's go ahead and look at Vegeta. So Vegeta is pretty much the same leader skill. It's just we're getting Giant Ape power, right? So Vegeta could lead like this very first team that I showed you. Like this you could just swap Goku and Vegeta here and you've got the exact same team, right? So now I'm just going right into like some Vegeta specific. Now what I like about Vegeta is you can do the Super Saiyan 4 team, but you can kind of do like the ridiculous Super Saiyan 4 team because you've got the EZA LR Super Saiyan 4s, and these ones are not on Goku's team because these guys are Giant Ape power, so they work on Vegeta's team. So you can run those guys who are absolute beasts, right? And then you've got the Year 7 Gogeta. I mean, there's some real power here if you run Vegeta as the lead, if you really want to run a lot of those heavy GT units. Now, the one thing is you might think this is kind of boring because, like, if you got this guy, like, you can use him as the lead and run basically the same team, right? But this is another option that, once again, we've got this guy floating around because this guy, once again, you get him on rotation with either of these full power units, you've got Scouter. So I really like having this full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Like, I think this guy just got a huge buff with the celebration. Me and a couple of the guys from 5 Dyna have been talking about this since they dropped. Like, we knew that it's only a matter of time, and we were really hypothesizing that Limit Breakers would be coming this year, and if they did, that they would be on full power. And sure enough, it happened. This guy just got a huge buff, so keep your eye out. That guy's going to be really good. I'm definitely going to try doing some runs with that guy on my team, right? Now to just show you some other options. So before I just showed you this Xeno Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you could link him up with Xeno Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as a possible rotation. I don't think Xeno Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, he's just okay-ish, right? But he's an option you can run, but this guy is still like a really good option. But some specific Giant Ape power units you could run with rotations, right? So you've got Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas. Now these ones you can't link together, but they could be on different rotations. And they're both very good units. The Tech one being better than the Int one, but the Int one's still very good, right? And then these guys are great floating options right here. So you've got the GT Goku, GT Vegeta. If you want like some floating rainbow orb changing options, I think they're going to be really good here as well. So you can definitely plug and play there, right? Then I just want to show some more units. Some of these are for Vegeta, but some of these could be for either team, right? So, actually, specifically for Vegeta, the only one would be as if you wanted to run Giant Ape Vegeta. So he could be an option. He links better with more like other Saiyan Saga Vegetas, which aren't like the most optimal. Like you could run like the AGL Grade 8 Vegeta. Well, no, they don't link. They got the same name, but you could run them with other Saiyan Saga Vegetas, right? Vegeta Nappa he links up really well with, but they're not like that great, right? So this guy you could throw in just like if you need to. I don't know that I would recommend it just because he's not going to have like a great linking partner on these teams, but he is an option. He is grade 8 power, right? But some other good options that you could run on either team that I haven't mentioned yet. Supreme Kai of Time, really, really good support unit. Just got an easy A. I think she's fantastic. I think this guy's actually busted. Great Saiyan Man 3. It might be tricky finding like a great linking partner for him, but I think he's going to just get enough links with some of these Dragon Ball Heroes units naturally. But this guy's just a ridiculous, crazy counter unit. I'm definitely going to be doing showcases on all these units, but it's going to take me like a week or two because there's so many units. I'm just going to try to shovel these out as I get time. Thanksgiving weekend, though, I'm not going to have a lot of time this weekend, but I wanted to get the team build guides out because I know people are going to be liking those. I haven't talked about this Trunks, but this is the headliner from last year. I think he could definitely slide into any of these teams if you wanted him to. This guy's a very good support. So this guy being a crossover support. So on any of the teams where you're using full crossover, I think this guy's a very good, excellent support unit you can run. And then, dude, Weirus is the boss, man. Weirus is a fantastic unit. Another great floating support option. Now, he only gives support for, like, fusions, which isn't going to be a ton of the characters you would be using, but the big thing he does is double orb changing. So if you're running a team where, like, you're struggling for orbs or you have nukers or whatever, this Weirus is, like, fantastic. And he's got, like, all the dodge and stuff. Weirus is great. So, anyways, guys, there you go. Those are my team building guides for Limit Breaker, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Let me know what you think. Hopefully this guide helps. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.